Greetings, everybody. It's Sunday. Welcome to the Sunday Culture Review. We've got some folks that are going to be joining the panel here shortly. I'm pretty excited about, I don't know about that. I'm not excited about some of the subjects we're going to talk about, but I'm glad to have a panel here to talk about them. And I want to say hi to each one of them as they roll in here. Let's start first with the Turtle Man himself immediately to this side of me, however you're looking at the screen. What's going on there, Shellbach?
Greetings. I just actually I'm still on yesterday.
Huh?
So
you're still awake from yesterday. All right, I hear you.
Yeah, I'm still on yesterday, so it's still Saturday for me because I haven't been to sleep yet. But I've had some donuts and I've had some green tea, so I should be good to go. I hope everybody's got their breakfast or whatnot, and welcome.
All right. Well, thank you for being here, Shellbach. I truly appreciate it. We also have the amazing AFK Bard.
Hola. I'm happy to be here. I gotta say, Shellback, I really like that image that you're sporting whenever I see it up close. It's really cool. Happy Sunday to everybody in chat. Thanks for showing up because Culture deserves all the love. He's super awesome. And it's always fun to share in, the crappy stuff as well as the cool stuff. And I'm looking forward to being not excited about some stuff with the rest of you.
Well, let me tell you, you're going to get a plenty of opportunity today. And we're going to start with a subject here after we get done introducing our good friend and the very talented artist, Makini Draws, also known as Makini 90. What's up, buddy?
Well, we're here to talk about the crappy stuff and the cool stuff.
That's right.
And I exist to bring you the cool stuff. So there we go.
Ooh,
here's the cool stuff. So this is from our Sunday stream we had last week with 32 Flavors of Nick Weiser. Go and check it out. And right after the Sunday Culture Review, as you can probably notice, I got a little something on the left side of the screen. That is saved for the one and only Loki's Mornings of Mischief, who will be stopping by on today's show. I am very, very, very excited today. It's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to seeing you guys there. And I'm looking forward to covering plenty of topics that is going to be going on today. So while we go in and cover what goes on this week, I'm here to I exist to be easy on the eyes for you.
Oh, all right. That sounds
or at
good
least deliver something that is easy on the eyes for you.
I demand a ball pit.
Yeah, let me tell you, we were going to talk about said ball pit.
I think that could be arranged.
at least as part of the things. And I know we have a very famous puppet joining us here in just a little while. One of the members of the Cotton Connection. So hopefully that will entertain beyond some of the elements that we're going to be talking about today. But I do want to say hi to everybody out there who showed up early to support the stream. We've got Dr. Dragon in the house. We've got Lord Thoth here. There's Vince Womack. What's going on? Dragon Master 360. Lots of dragons today. We've got, of course, we've got the man himself who says, "Hey kids." And speaking of the man himself, what's up, Jolly? How are you doing?
Hey, sorry I'm late, Culture. I was trying to get the last night's prostitutes out the door. I had to pay him
Oh.
in change. I was a little low, so
Oh,
it took
boy.
me a second. Yeah, but I'm here.
Oh, well, I am absolutely glad that you're here. I appreciate it. And thanks for joining us today. You had quite the entertaining show last evening, so congratulations on the 60th episode of Tuck and Roll. Well done.
Thank you. Yeah, you were there. It was
Oh.
pretty exciting. We had a lot of brand new booty breaks. A little uncomfortable with you and Sasha, I noticed, but I'm glad you're okay. She never did get through the door, did she?
No. And let me tell you that once the guarded security folks were, they showed up, and of course, you had police response and everything else. So, but we were fine. It was all fine. Yeah, there were no boiling rabbits and on the range or anything. So we're good there. So
not yet.
Yeah, no, that's true. Anyway, thanks for being here. I appreciate it, Charlie. It's awesome, guys. You should check out Snowdub's channel. It's a lot of fun. Lots of goofiness. I think we ended the show on a high note. I mean,
oh yeah,
a high note or a high note?
No. Memes. The memes of destruction was there. He took his shirt off. So lady. Yeah.
I'll have to catch the replay.
There you go. Yeah, right at the end there. Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, but no, I appreciate that, and thanks, Snowdub, for popping in. Appreciate your support, my friend.
Oh yeah, good to be here. Yeah. I love your Sunday show. I'm usually in the chat, so this will be fun.
I know. Hey, well, you deserve to be here, from time to time. So I appreciate you being here. Plus, I mean, I need that cotton representation. So
I don't know about hanging out with that Shellback guy though. He's a little off kilter sometimes. You got to watch him.
I know, but he's freshly shaven, so he doesn't look quite as much like the the hillbilly that you would normally see.
Right.
But
Good.
Yeah, but we do have other folks rolling in here. We got One Man Show. Six is actually advertising your channel right now.
Thank you, Six.
We got let's see, Grifter hanging out with us. I think I said hi to Keely Chow just a minute ago. Let's see who else rolled in there. Oh, the lovely Sherry, who has found a plethora of memes that are shared in some chats. That
she has. Yes,
wow.
she has.
Wow.
Yes, she has.
The great Jordy Lyons is hanging out with us today. We've got a lot of Midnight's Edge representation. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate that. Let's see. Who else do we have hanging out here? Let's see. Oh, Judas Goat Barbecue is here. Says, feel like spring here in Texas. In fact, it should feel like spring everywhere. Today is the first day of spring, whether or not you know that or not. Interestingly enough, I would imagine all of the home stores and nurseries are running out of plants that make food for reasons. If you need to check into that, you should probably watch some Tim Pool, pay attention to a few of those videos he's talking about. So growing your own food might be a great option for you. So,
well, I'm effed on that one. I have negative green thumbs. Every time I try to grow something, I just see dirt. And then whenever I'm given a plant, it dies, even if someone says it can last through everything. I killed bamboo. I killed a cactus. I'm doomed. Can I be in your team? Can you garden for me in the apocalypse?
Of course, yeah. I'm happy to lend a hand there. It's actually not challenging. You do have to water things though. That's where a lot of people fall down when it comes to growing food. But Amaranth is here for the win, throwing out all the emojis, which I
right next to Jolly too.
Yeah, very.
Where's the ball pit?
Well, yeah, I cut out the ball pit. I thought there was enough context there with her holding some blue balls that people would get it. Lord Trinan is here. We've got Critizable the Rainbow Knight with the fancy hat today. We've got Judicon. Good to see you, my friend. Let's see. Zax is here. You can check out Zax's channel. Zax is busy. Very busy. We've got our good buddy Zach from Brightest Day. You should check out Brightest Day as well. Brightest Day does some great stuff. He's got a 1-minute review that I really appreciated. I don't know if that's public or not, but if so, you should check it out. Pretty much everything on his channel is great, so do check out Brightest Day. Let's see who else is here. Let's see. Lord Hoster is here. What is up? Good to see you, my friend. Another person with a channel. We've got Deleted Scenes. Good to see you, my friend. Also a channel. Man, a lot of folks have channels. This is fantastic.
Look, Culture. I got a strong arm.
Wow. Looks good, man.
Wow.
Yeah,
nice flex.
Yeah, you're
exactly.
You're yoked, man.
Yeah. He even got a tan.
Yeah. Yeah, looking good. It's odd that you're not. I mean, are you blue?
Yeah, no, I'm faking. Sorry.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
You had me. Sold. But Mexican Iron Man sent us an amazing super sticker for $10. Thank you for that, my friend. It is a
Mexican Iron Man. Yes.
super sticker that's #1 fan. It's a little pear bouncing up and down. So, let me tell you, I don't feel as fit as that pear right now. Should probably do something. But we've got Wookie dropping some links for Snowed Up. Boy, getting everybody promoted here. You guys are amazing.
Sorry, it's the Cotton Connection. They get a little excited when they see a puppet on the screen.
That's right. Josh Melody is here. Good to see you, my friend. We've got Misha here. Great to see you. I really like my video about puppets. I'm a big fan of puppets. Ask this fella down here.
It's true.
Yeah, Jeff Dunham is incredible. As a ventriloquist, and I appreciate the arts about it. And I think a lot of people don't realize how dangerous. I know it doesn't sound it, but that job's dangerous because when you build a puppet, it's all toxic stuff for the most part. So it's
Dude, my church school did a puppet show thing where we would, interact and sing songs in church and everything.
Yeah.
And we got to like build our own through a magazine back in the day. And it was amazing because I never knew like how like even the way you make the mouth open and shut with something as simple as like, flat lips is important. You don't just flap your fingers.
No.
So I commend you, man. There's a lot of stuff that goes into that.
Yeah, and now, with 3D printing, you can do special armatures and stuff like that. There's a lot of great things that you can do now that was more difficult to do back then and required a lot more work with toxic stuff. Yeah, what's up, Jolly?
Are you saying I'm not alive?
No, you are 100% alive, my friend.
Okay.
Yeah, you're very animated.
Yeah, very animated. Yeah. We've got, of course, Mr. Tickle Trunk here. He threw out another super sticker. Appreciate that, Mr. Tickle Trunk. It is a Shiba Inu Fartin' Hearts. Thanks for that. My favorite little dog in the world. Appreciate that so very much. And let's see. We've got our good friend, a New Bomb Turk. Haven't seen you in a minute. Thanks for being here, my friend. Lots of other folks rolling through the door, including Taylor M. Tamiaka is here. Good to see you, my friend.
Yeah.
Sean Landrigan. Whoa, we got a big audience out there. Rob Altus is saying hi to everybody. Let's see. Everybody's looking for Zipper. I don't know if there's Zipper out there. Canadian Spider-Man. Look at all these. Low Spec. Mondo Bizarro. Yeah. Thanks for joining us today, Terry Rose. We have a lot of stories to get through. So after I get done saying hi, we got to get started. We got Mutant Bamhammer here, Cody Guy, and BC. What's up, BC? Good to see you, man. But let's get going. Sander Hammer Slog. Good to see you. All right. Let's talk about some weird stuff that we found out today. And I don't know if any of you have seen this story, so maybe I'll get some first real-time reactions from you and maybe even the audience as well. But it's related to the Batman. Now, the Batman film, with the Reeves film, it just crossed $300 million domestically as of today. It's sitting right about 500 and change million dollars globally, so it's okay. It's doing fine. It's beyond. It's at break even or better now. But let's actually see what's happening around that. I think you're going to be surprised. The Batman star Paul Dano is going to write a comic book about the Riddler. Don't you all just jump up and down at once?
Is it going to be like when we had the Spider-Man comic written by the son of J.J. Abrams?
Oh no,
and co-written by J.J. Abrams?
I don't really know. There's not a lot of info, but we'll dive into this very short article. I just thought you guys would be like, I don't know, having not seen the film, but having the descriptors given to me and seeing some other things in a certain amount of context. Yeah, I was like, all right. But I thought this story rolled across Variety this morning, and I'm going, we'll see.
Another thing to make a headline about.
Yeah.
You think it's going to be like I'm Not Starfire?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
No, this is a bad sign, though, because, I mean, there's always been that level of, action where it's like you see once in a while a star will eventually get to produce an episode or direct an episode, or like, I don't know, I feel like there's a level of their skill that they can actually put into that, so like say James Roday back in the day with Psych, he ended up directing episodes, but he had a good eye because he picked it up while he was on the show. But like for this is kind of scary because it often comes off of their own idea of the character that they're portraying,
Right.
and they always have some ideological idea of that. I don't know if that sounds weird or not, but like I feel like, they give you a spiel about your character and how important it is, and then you get it in your head, and as an actor sometimes you risk getting a little pompous, or thinking that, oh, I could do that, and I don't know, in this situation I think it's going to be crap, but I also think that it might give other actors ideas, and maybe more comic studios will let them do that to see if they can get more people to buy comics. Does that make sense?
Well, to kind of pair what what AFK is saying, because I think you kind of hit the nail on the money there. It reminds me a lot of when you have like a creator like Paul Dini who wants to talk about, getting comics to that, that mainstream attention, of course, but getting, very popularized by having pictures of like actual actors, such as like, say, Hugh Jackman holding a Wolverine comic in that kind of sense, if you kind of understand where it kind of coming from with that. Usually that doesn't help. I don't think it's just kind of publicity, but it's kind of publicity that it's probably not going to help out in the long run. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just doesn't really not many people. There's just not enough to care or something like that. I guess you could put it that way.
I feel like it would be equally annoying, but not as scary story-wise if they started using the likenesses of actual actors as characters versus letting those actors write those stories. But I'm not saying that that's a good idea either. But I don't know. It's just an awkward thing.
It's just like you hear I'll put an example. You'll hear like an episode of Arrow was directed by Stephen Amell himself, and it's just like, oh, okay. I mean, it's not really gonna. It's kind of a nothing. I guess it doesn't really have much interest.
It would be hard for me to argue with you. I mean, we've got some thoughts in the chat. Of course, Lord Thoth is thinking along the same lines as AFK with basically this is a marketing stunt to try to spur sales. They can market this as not just a Batman comic to comic fans. They're going outside of the comic market just to grab some folks that may have liked the film that don't normally buy comics. I think that's also accurate. And I can see where Grifter is coming from here, saying that, well, Keanu Reeves has his comics, so why not Dano? Well, I know that.
Well, but here's the difference.
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves' comic Berserk is its own property.
It's true.
It's something that he made himself. It's its own IP and such. And it was because the Berserk did so well at a time where Keanu Reeves is still relevant, was still bigger than ever. Like this, we're talking like Keanu Reeves, like post Cyberpunk 2077. Where he was still riding high off of that and off of John Wick and such. I'm not saying he isn't now. I'm just saying.
Well, yeah, and his work is enough of a sales point. Like the difference between him acting and other people acting too is like as far as like the effort he puts into learning how to fire guns and stuff. Like you can see it in his work, and so that's kind of the difference. Well, this is like somebody walking into the room and taking things that are already made and thinking that they have a really good idea for it. And you just hoping that they can write a story when they've never done it before and they're using stuff that you really like.
Right. Exactly. So, so they're right. It's just with Keanu Reeves' case, Berserk was his own thing. Berserk was, you know, an original IP or their own IP,
Right. It's just interesting that, this would be the timing of it. And of course, Mr. Tickletrunk says the Riddler in the Batman took the incel angle. This comic book is going to be fun. using the quotes there. I look and I understand that. Of course, you're going to find out the origins of the 500 followers that, this version
Edward
of the
Nygma.
Riddler has.
Mhm.
But it's patterned after the original book. Excuse me, an original book, which was Batman Year One, which is from the 80s, if I remember correctly. So, but DC Comics announced that Dano's comic book writing debut. They announced it on Friday. I didn't even see it. Released a first look image and some teasers to go along with it. And this should remind you of that Batman Year One comic because of the look of it.
Mhm.
Okay, Culture, is this working in reverse here? Because I understand, and maybe he's got some great ideas since he played the character.
Yeah.
So I'm not taking anything away from Dano, and what he could possibly bring to this franchise, but we're working reverse because we're used to seeing comics ideas coming from the creators of comics, and then it gets transferred over to film with their interpretation of the original material. So I don't know how this is going to go play out. We'll see. I can't get my hopes up for something like this. It seems like it's in reverse to me.
Yeah, to get noticed by modern mainstream comics is to reject their narratives. Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah. I look Snow. I guess Jolly in this case. Jolly. I have to say that I don't know that I would even be interested in this book if it were coming out in different circumstances.
Right.
I don't know that I would be, all about this. I mean, for whatever reason, the Riddler wasn't the most appealing of the rogues gallery of the Batman. And and someone in the chat said that even, the former Penguin, DeVito, not DeVito.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Danny DeVito.
Yeah. He had a book. I didn't know that. I'd never heard of that, but
I didn't either.
Yeah. But I bet you there's a decent chance he didn't actually write it. It was ghostwritten. If this is actually being written by Dano, that would be interesting. And like I said, I mean, they talk about all these year one books, year one,
Right.
year three, all of that. But they talk about, Catwoman year one.
This might be a cash grab, off the popularity.
Or tie-in. Yeah, like a tie-in book, basically.
Is it just me, or I mean, like, I really don't like these year one type stories because it just feels just like all these reboots of Disney movies and stuff where it's just like they don't have an idea of how to move forward.
Right.
So it's just like we constantly have to go back. It's like that's why I'm not interested in this movie. I wasn't interested in Christian Bale's either. I was interested in of course, Batfleck because I really loved it and they sold it. But still the idea, but that one was completely different.
Right.
So it was cool.
Mm-hmm.
But just like this idea of constantly coming back and being like, oh, well, but this time it's this. And it's like, well, yeah, but how about just next time? Just keep going, man. Like, I know there are people out there, Batman Beyond. Let's give us something in the future. I love an angry, grizzly Bruce Wayne. But that's just me. Sorry, I went on a tangent.
No, you're fine. I mean, look, I was hoping for, an incredible film. I wasn't, and again, I have not yet seen it. Everything I've seen, clips and context, and like I said, all of the background material that I was given ahead of time. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to think. The idea that they went down the incel road, it kind of bothers me with this character. Again, I mean, it was done in a very deliberate way. And from what I'm to understand is each of these characters don't play themselves throughout the entire thing. It's like they each play 3 different versions of themselves. I think I'm basically taking away from other people's takes on that, but
almost as if the writers didn't know what they were doing.
Well,
I'm just saying.
Don't get mad at me because I'm more of a nostalgia type of guy, and I grew up with Michael Keaton's Batman, the original, and I was actually looking more forward to that Flash movie where he comes back in that than I was this Batman. But that's just me. I haven't seen this new Batman yet, so I can't really give you an honest critique.
Yeah, and I can't critique the film itself, but I can say I just don't know. Like Mr. Trunkle Truck asked the question: Has he written anything? I mean, does he have a background in any of this stuff?
That's a good
That's a
question.
good question.
If you have an in-depth understanding of a character, and believe me, if you're a method actor, that's you get in the brain of whoever you're acting, right? But if does he have that much understanding of this character and the actual background of the character, or is it his new invented background of the character? And other stuff. I guarantee you, like you said, they're going to do their very best to break things down. But Tom says he told all y'all that the Batman is Antifa, Catwoman is BLM, and the Riddler is an incel Proud Boy.
Tom with the hot take. Did you see that?
That's a hot take. Yes.
Well, at the end of the day, he's going to be a victim. Yeah, just saying. And he'll want to be better because of somebody that he meets that might be.
Well, like I said, with the whole thing, like I said last week, concerning the Riddler character, from what I'm hearing, I'm afraid that what Tom may be saying is what is going to be a trend is that a lot of films are going to be down the line. We're going to be seeing a lot more antagonist characters that are more based off of content creators, YouTubers, people who criticize this stuff all the time, like us, like what we do, like what G&G or Quartering or big names do, like what Gary does. We're going to see a lot more of that. So it's gone from being like making the villain be like a crazy, right winger to being this content creator who has a lot of followers and villainizing them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that sounds like a great idea.
It is a great idea, but it's going to be, I'm afraid it's going to be a trend that's going to be worn out. It's going to overstay its welcome considerably.
Oh, no, I was just thinking for a horror movie.
right, because it'll come off as just like the showrunners or writer having a hate boner for, content creators, like people on YouTube who criticize this stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Or
you're right on something there, Makini. And of course, releasing the Kraken's onto something too. They've over milked Batman, I think. I really do think that this is an overexposed character at this point in time. We're going to have how many different Batmans on screen this year? I think Tom said 4 different Batmans.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever
in the past decade. In the past decade, when you think about it.
Yeah. Well, Rob Alta sent us a super chat for $5. Thank you for that. Rob says they love doing reboots so they can retcon their ideas and claim it was always that way. Revisionist writing. Yeah, and they're all about revisionist history too. That's a brand. I don't know. I just think it's odd that we're going to get a comic from somebody I didn't know was into comics.
Yeah, I think at best it'll just be average, maybe mediocre. I have this thing about actors doing things beyond acting, I guess. I don't know. I know maybe it's horrible to say, but I've kind of had a pet peeve of that since they started using them for voice acting, because that was another attempt to sell and market like these big animated movies. It's like they kind of screwed over a whole world of people who their job was voice acting, just so that they could say things like, "Oh, this is now voiced by Chris Pratt." It's like, boy, I can't wait, and all they do is just talk into the mic. I'm sorry, but I'm horribly mean, but there's just no effort in it. So I don't know. Actors.
I can totally understand that.
I just want everything to be the way they were. So let's see. Oh, Nerdette's newsstand. Yeah, I'm familiar. She loves Batman comics. Oh,
absolutely.
Yeah, I've heard of Nerdette.
Follower
newsstand, of course. And speaking of a nerd, what's up, Tom?
Hey, Tom.
What you want? You said
hola.
Well, you were talking. I wanted to see if you wanted to actually talk or if you just wanted to type in the chat.
Tom, you're late. You were supposed to be on the podcast this morning. Where were you?
Getting nachos.
Okay.
Oh, I hear the nachos.
That's not a bad excuse.
So Tom, are you excited for this comic book, Tom?
What now?
The comic book? Are you excited for Riddler year one? That's what I
I'm going to take that as a yes.
He sounds ecstatic.
Okay, no. I'll take that as a no.
That's fucking pathetic.
That's funny.
That's a great response.
But it's being written by Paul Dano. Come on. Okay.
You're gonna make him spit out his nachos.
Yeah, you make him spit out his nachos here. Come on,
choke on your
Culture.
nachos or get
Wait,
one stuck in your navel. Yeah, dude. Yeah, I just showed. Look, here it is again.
I thought it was a joke.
It is not.
It's not April 1st yet.
It's not. Well, you're right.
So I considered watching the Batman movie, but then I heard Zoe Kravitz or whatever, the Catwoman was like, there was like a line in there where she was talking to Bruce about his white privilege or some shit, and now I'm hearing that the Riddler is like an incel or something. And I'm like, why? So is this comic going to be about, like the oh well, I didn't get laid again today, and it's really making me think about a life of crime. I don't know what.
That's pretty much all it could be.
Yeah, seems legit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm very excited for all the little traps and puzzles that are laid out in this comic.
It's going to be some mean white man's problem.
Okay, you just pointed out a problem I wasn't thinking about, which is when writers try to write smart characters. It's so hard for them to get anything right. Like there are really well written things. Like I'd say the first season of Elementary, if you go and watch it, was really fun. They came up with really creative ways to have the character come up with like ways to solve crimes. But then you get like CW level where half the characters make really stupid mistakes, or they make it so obvious in the first scene. And it's just like that. This is going to be terrible if you're involving someone who does riddles.
Well, or the third option, AFK, is say make a smart character by telling everybody that you're smart instead of actually showing.
Oh, and then having the other characters be stupid around them, because that happens a lot too.
Yeah, or boast, or validate how smart they are.
Mm-hmm.
This is a common issue because they just let any Tom, Dick, and Harry be a writer now. It's more about their skin color or their beliefs or whatever, their politics, than it is whether or not they're actually an intelligent individual who could actually write a cohesive story and create characters who are emotionally and mature enough to be in the story with them. If you're nothing but a little kid inside and you're a little SJW, most of your fucking stories are going to come off like shit because you're so boxed in, right? Like, and that's another thing is a lot of these people are so rejective of other thoughts or other possibilities that they close themselves off, and that's where mainly storytelling comes from. Well, go back and any classic writer, like you go back and ask them, well, what inspired you to write this? Well, then you ask them, they'll go, oh, well, I got down in this and I got into this, and then I realized, oh, this, and then I got this experience. And, it's always so much going into telling one story, no matter what it's about. It's where you ask these kids nowadays, well, what was your inspiration? Well, I just like Star Trek.
Well, but see, Tom, a lot of that is the same problem that they're having in the corporate world. You have all of these people that are in the workforce now. They think that when they got their college degree in underwater basket weaving, they were going to be entitled to these massive paying jobs.
That too, yeah.
But they have no life experience when they get there. One of the things that is helpful when you're younger growing up, especially if you don't have great means, is to have a job, while you're in high school. Because, you're learning the value of money, you're learning the value of managing your time. You have multiple things going on. So you learn how to juggle, your life.
Exactly.
And you also have life experience because maybe you worked at a job. You're like, I never want to flip another burger in my life. So when you get out of college, you've planned out a career, or at least a set of careers that are paths that you would like to choose. And it doesn't even require. This is the other thing. I mean, college is that conversation that everybody has, and that was like the part of the American dream at the time. But the trade schools are incredibly important because you can come out of a trade after 18 months, 2 years, and be making six figures easy.
Exactly,
because people are desperate for AC. HVAC guys. They're desperate for plumbers. They're desperate for
action figures.
Well, there you go. So, it all comes down to, are you a rounded human being? And I think the most rounded human beings are able to write complex characters, smart characters, because they have a breadth of experience. And right now we don't have that. We don't have that anywhere in the younger generations coming up right now. And that's terrifying. I mean, it's there. There are still people who have imaginations. There are people that are younger.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. There is talent out there, and I don't want to sit here and pretend that
but do they check the right boxes?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and you're 100% right, and that's a real problem. So,
but their gender studies professor told them that they can do this, man.
Gender studies is the new liberal arts. Okay.
Yeah,
it is
to a certain extent, to be sure. But look, Rebecca Gold, what's going on there, Ian? Good to see you, buddy. Go check out Rebecca Gold. Watch the short web series; it's incredible, very well written, directed, produced by Ian himself, the man who's representing the Avatar there. Strong, powerful women, I would say, in that show.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But for £5, that's proper money, ladies and gentlemen. Spider-Man No Way Home was much better than the Batman. It was okay, but Nolan's version was better. See?
Yes. I agree entirely.
100%. From an actual film creator, folks. But like I said, do check out Ian's channel and everything else that he does, whether he's hanging out with Dan over on Type 40 and other things. Do check out wherever he is. He's a great human, and I can't wait to have him back on the panel here in the future. It's good to see him.
Well, Culture, the numbers check out on that comment, because Spider-Man's still making money right now, and the Batman's about half, I think, of what Spider-Man made. So it makes sense. Better movie.
It's always a good sign of a good movie when they're making bank, a month in, and also it's still in the theater, right. That is a show of confidence that, you're going to keep ranking it in. They did that for Pirates of the Caribbean, and it worked for them too. The first time the movie came out.
Right. And
it was like in the theater all summer.
And Avengers, of course. And then I think they even did it with Avatar.
Yeah.
Titanic.
I'll go for them.
Didn't they bring Titanic back again, Tom? Back in the day?
There actually used to be this thing called the theatrical window, kids, that they tried to destroy during the times of the pandemic. But people like myself and Culture and others tried to warn them that's not going to work, right? Because it's just not going to work. Even though Spider-Man's still doing well in the theater, they're turning around and they're dropping it early because it went and leaked online already.
Yeah.
So you'll have that problem as well. And the Batman's going to be on HBO Max in like 20 days.
Nice. That's when I'll watch it.
Yeah. Like I said, I mean, I will see it. Tom was the one who said, you know what, if you're not super inspired to go see it in the theater, just wait for HBO. That's what I'm doing. I'm not going to give him a nickel. But, I like I said, had my audience been more inspired for me to see it, or inspired me to see it, I would have seen it. But we probably need to move on because we do have some other subjects, and like always, we get tied up with one for the first 40 minutes. And
Culture's really into BDSM.
Oh yeah,
I don't think that's true. But
he just said tied up.
Yeah, right. You guess he likes it rough.
I heard about that. He's got a swing downstairs.
Why do you think he calls her the boss?
That's a good question. That's a good question.
Rebecca Gold, Ian Davids, right? Did I say it right?
Ian, say the full name. I love that.
AFK. Ian Davids. Is that
Ian
right? David. That's what it is. All right. I don't know why I do that every time, but yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Well,
David.
but keep in mind, this is an American pronunciation.
Yeah.
And he's British.
Yeah.
So.
David.
Yeah. And he's
that
just,
means he likes fish and chips.
He's a really cool dude.
Hell yeah.
As long as they got good tartar sauce.
Absolutely.
Fish and chips.
Or custard if you're a Doctor Who fan.
Always pretend not one person knows who you were talking about. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, I just assumed you would go and check out the channel, Rebecca Gold. So, yeah.
Yes, he's a brilliant director. Awesome dude. I used to do videos with him where we did movie reviews, and he is a real intellectual guy. He's got a great eye for directing. You should definitely go check him out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and Blue-Eyed Roof Korea in the base for $10. Thank you, my friend, for that. I appreciate it. Been saying this for a while. If it's made by Hollywood, it's only because it's the right narrative, checks the right boxes, espouses the right ideologies. Sooner you accept it and move on, the better. 100%. And that's why I like the independent stuff that's being put together, and it's why I promoted my friend Ian, Rebecca Gold. You can check out that channel, Rebecca Gold, on YouTube. Going back, I think the series was in 2017. Yeah, even David Diaz. Oh, okay. See,
there we go.
Yeah, and I always screw it up, but that's all right.
Well, that's okay. You call Shellback Shellbach, so
That's
we're
true.
used to it.
All
right. I always
It's
screw it
like a nice, loving
Spider-Man.
nickname.
And Spider-Man.
It is Spider-Man. So,
No, it's Spiderman.
why are we picking on
Spider-Man.
culture?
Because we love you.
Casino.
Okay, that's it. We're gonna, you know what? I'm gonna shift focus right now to somebody that you already are very familiar with, right? So we all remember what this person
Jolly?
did.
Oh.
No, we all remember what this person did to a certain network, right? Basically, a relaunch of G4 television. Frost comes out in a moment that will be remembered.
Is she recently on the Where Are They Now list?
Yeah, she was recently streaming with MSI, but we'll get into that as the story moves forward.
I really don't like this dude, Culture. He's not very
He's kind of a
nice.
jerk.
Yeah.
Well, all I know is that the sexism in gaming rant that Frost went on ended up here,
Oh, hey now.
not that far, into the future.
Movie break.
Down, Jolly, down.
Down, Jolly. Down.
Less than 2 months from one to the other thing, and we are back to
It's before noon.
goofy G4 TV stunts with Amaranth hosting a ball pit segment, right?
She's holding blue balls.
No,
They're blue.
no.
Yeah, are they yours?
I hope so.
But it all gets weirder. It all gets weirder because you remember the executive vice president that came out and
Blair.
His name's Blair Herter, and he's peace out. After the Amaranth thing, this dude's gone. He says life is short and making memories with the ones you love is the most important thing in the world. Here's to the next great Herter family adventure. And Brian Herter is a family person. I mean, that's all they talk about, outside of obviously this.
He's married to Jessica Chobot.
Yeah. And he is headed out to the Netherlands, if I'm not mistaken, to join Team Liquid.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get to Team Liquid, what's Team Liquid? Team Liquid is
Esports.
a world-renowned professional gaming organization established in 2000. So they basically are streamers, game streaming company, and he's going to work for them now. So yeah, and all of it stems from the fact that this channel is completely collapsing, G4 TV, and he came out firmly against the people that used to watch the content, all because of what this person said. So that's where we are in the story now. Do you think, and I'm just going to give you my opinion, do you think that this channel is salvageable?
No. And by the way, before I say my piece, Culture, let's say we had some bots in the chat, and we took care of that real quick.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
That's me. I always tend to bring the porn sites over. I don't know what it is. It must be the mustache. It's really sexy.
Yeah, for sure.
I think they're here expecting a booty break, and they
We'll
only give us the culture
thank-
break.
Thanks for swatting the bots. I have stopped with the slow mode. You guys may have noticed that in the last few live streams. From a recommendation from one of the mods here on the channel, said you might consider doing that because we can get to them, and you guys have. So thank you for that. But really do appreciate you guys swatting the bots. But let's get back to that. So you were saying, Mock?
No, I'm kind of with Jeremy, the quartering on this one. They're not going to survive. I don't think they're going to make it to the end of this year. I think by at least the fall, we're going to start hearing, them kind of slowly phasing out, slowly going under. I don't want to say that, but yeah, it's I'm giving it by the fall, if not even the summer.
Well, okay, so on the first official day of spring, Makini is calling the demise in the fall of this very same year.
And if I'm wrong, feel free to call me out. I think take the L.
I'm right with you. They've already rebranded the channel to X Play. I mean,
did they really?
Yeah.
Yes, they did.
Well, I mean, look, I'm going to say this. They could salvage this thing, but I didn't watch this ball pit video. Was it making fun of us, or was it?
No, it was just.
It could have been taken both ways, and this is one of those times when I had kind of a slightly different reaction than the rest of the fellowship, because I was going, they're making fun of themselves in their previous iteration, and also of the people who are looking for that form of entertainment. And it still didn't pull the numbers, Tom, because Criticisable's right here. G4 had 2 of the biggest female Twitch streamers and 4 of the biggest VTubers, virtual VTubers on it, and they still didn't pull any real numbers.
Is it like, I don't know, context wise, were they making fun of the whole thing, or is it that they were being serious about it?
It's hard.
I've never seen the video. I wish I knew.
It's hard to say. Our good friend Zach's in the chat here actually has video clips up on there. If somebody wants to drop his channel in the chat, that'd be amazing. Thank you.
The one thought that I got when I had heard about this was that it's like, it almost feels like the opposite side of bending the knee and then having people always expect you to do it again. Is that, like, let's say they were being serious and people are still giving them crap for what they did before, right? So it's like, even when they actually reverse course, people are still giving them crap, Like, I feel like if this was serious, I wish more people would have actually been like, yes, please do this, keep this going, rather than, oh, look at you, you're doing this now, how could you? You know what I mean?
Well, I'm a firm believer in titty privilege, so I always endorse this and think that more titties the better.
No, I think they're trying to make fun of us. I haven't seen the video though, so I can't comment.
Yeah.
But what I was going to get to is G4 or X Play or whatever the hell they want to call themselves. They're in an era right now where internet YouTubing is a thing with gaming. It's big. We keep getting asked about it, but one of the reasons it keeps getting pushed back is there's so many. It's redundant. It's getting flooded. It's getting saturated.
Yeah.
And they could stand above the rest because they have been on the ground since day one, or whatever you want to call it. Not really day one, but since the modern era of video gaming. And here we are now with 2 new systems out and very little coverage on these systems. Like, I know I have a PS5 and I couldn't tell you half the shit the damn thing does. Okay. So like, that's what I'm saying is we're in an era now where they should be taking advantage of this. And instead it just feels like they're playing with their balls.
Well, yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, think about this. G4, they were at the time of Tech TV, and Tech TV was a big thing. This is early 2000s.
Trust me,
before the
internet was an ISP. This channel was on 24/7.
Exactly, and it was the only real like network where it was for gamers by gamers. So that's why there's so much nostalgia behind it. And I say this because I was a huge fan of G4 Tech TV growing up. So that was going through my teenage years and everything, through high school and everything. So growing up with that, but we're at a time now where everybody's got the internet. We have content creators who up the wazoo who are able to do this better than they are, and we have big sites like big gaming journalism sites like IGN and stuff. And keep in mind, G4 was at around the time that IGN was getting started, was getting off the ground before more people got into the internet more and more, before the internet became more readily available and more accessible, before social media became a thing. This is pre-Facebook, but. And priest MySpace, in fact. It's that time. You think that, with a return like this, they would stick to their roots and capitalize on what goes on in the gaming industry, what goes on even with journalism and such. They could work with sites like Kotaku, work sites with IGN. And I know that, journalism does get a, bad press, and we rack on them all the time, but it still gives them coverage so they can follow the trends that a lot of gamers, like, why would I go to G4 for this when I could go to people like Skill Up or Young Yeah to cover this? Go to IGN to cover this. Go to go to sites like Niche Gamer or Gematsu, who will be able to do the job that they're doing, or just go to anybody on YouTube or anybody on social media, on Twitch, who can do what they're doing but better.
Yeah.
And even if they have a lesser budget, and G4 is known for their high production values.
But for context, right? For context, I want to show you guys something that I think a lot of people don't realize. This is burning giant amounts of cash. I mean, Fat Elvis here is 100% accurate. And here, I'm going to show you. This is their studio, folks. This is
G4 is under Comcast, NBC Universal.
67,000 square foot studio space.
Look, they are the access media when it comes to video games. Embrace it.
Exactly.
Just embrace it. Quit embracing the other side of it, though. Keep the fucking politics out of it. You know, and this is the thing: is the problem is a lot of the shit we're dealing with right now. It's rooted in video gaming, right? It's rooted in Gamergate. It's rooted in comic books.
Yeah.
It all started in the ground level, and it's just starting to hit the surface level, right? Like that's where last year we had the whole Abby Smash thing and all. Like we're just finally starting to see that side of it in the modern market, or in the bigger side of the market now. And the movie side of it is just, it's a byproduct of this whole thing. And that's what I was saying before, is they could embrace this. I don't give a shit if they're access. Be access media.
Yeah, just embrace it. Just be that, because you're not this grassroots thing.
Exactly. Quit trying to do the other thing. Exactly. Makini's right. Like you're not going to be a Twitch streamer. You're not. Right. And you can bring in 12 of them, and all you're going to do is turn them into access media.
Well, I feel like they wouldn't succeed in that either way, just because like there are enough people now that are really picky about it that can sense the inauthenticity of it.
Exactly,
how many people watch Chris Hardwick's stuff nowadays? Like it's or Will Wheaton obviously is a really good example. It's like you can tell when it's a corporation or like that's trying to be hip and cool. And I feel like as long as they're trying to be in some sort of gaming or entertainment field nowadays, if they keep up with their old skill, they're not going to, well, I think regardless, they're just not going to be able to pull it, because it's not what people want anymore. Like culture, and that you were saying is like, we can go elsewhere and find something that's genuine. Like like say my next door neighbor or something is a streamer. Like, hey, well, there you go. I'd rather listen to him say something.
Well, and to AFK kind of pair what AFK is saying, it falls back a lot on when it comes to listening to reviews for video games or for films, for entertainment in general, is that a lot of times we don't go like we used to. Growing up, you would go to a site like Rotten Tomatoes or like listening to like podcasts, something like the old like spill.com for like movie reviews, or you would go to IGN for that. But a lot of times is that, as we get older, as it kind of goes along, you see kind of the inauthenticity that AFK is saying, as well as just it doesn't feel grounded, where you look to where a lot of your reviews, you go to a YouTuber because you would go to a YouTuber or just a content creator who doesn't have that high production value, but is able to be more honest about, what they're reviewing, what they're looking over, and is able to be more on the ground connected to the consumers who are interested in buying that product.
Yeah, it's like the difference between, say, you love doing this work, right? It's just like you love being in the entertainment field, but as time passes and the way you have to do things changes, say you still love it, but you don't enjoy doing those new things. It's like I think that's where you struggle, and they're not doing that. They're not doing the new thing because they don't enjoy it, and I feel like that's the point where everybody has to make the decision whether, if you enjoy the new thing, that's going to get you somewhere. That's where the authenticity comes from, and they just didn't veer in the right direction.
And I want to add on to what you just said there, AFK. And not just wanting to be doing thing, but I think they understand if they do the same thing that IGN or Kotaku does, they're just going to get overshadowed. They're just going to simply get overshadowed instead of following. I would say it's following, and I would use this as example, geeks and gamers who they don't really cater to trends, so to speak, but they do their own thing. They're more focused on doing their own thing instead of trying to follow or trying to catch up. I guess you could say lead the way instead of trying to play catch up.
I think it still goes back to that classic saying of, you go woke, you go broke. And once they kind of showed their cards there, it hurt them bad. It hurt them real bad. Yeah. And they realized they they had to pick up some of the pieces. And what better way than to push a little titty privilege with one of the most popular Twitchers.
Yeah, exactly.
I think they ought to go back to Frosk, like actually, have Frosk on and then Amaranth, and then back to Frost, and then back to Amaranth. Just like a freaking tennis match. I think that would be awesome.
But the thing is that as Ripple will say, there is such thing as bad publicity, and what Frost's rant and even the comments that came out from Adam Sessler and some of the others, it did hurt them in the long run.
It did, but like Mutant Bamhammer says this, and I believe this is true, and I think Tom was also saying the same thing. Even if Frost didn't detonate their kneecaps, G4 would still die a slow death. Yeah, I didn't know they were back before the rant, and I likely wouldn't have heard if not for the rant. And of course, at that point, all of the subs that were, well, I would say dead subs, right? Because there were a lot of subs that were there that were just there. They just decided to cancel. They didn't even realize that G4 was a thing anymore, or again, or whatever. So, I mean, I did not know it was a thing. And like a day before that particular rant, I had heard G4 TV was back.
Yeah.
So
it's just like one of those days, like, it's like one of these days. I was like, I'm not somebody who just like watches G4 avidly now. It's just like when I think of G4, it's like sometimes I'll just go back, type up X Player G4 and just watch like a lot of old episodes of not just that, but especially all their tech TV shows back at the time, just because for nostalgia and just because I love those times. Like it hurts me that well, okay, it doesn't really, because I saw Ab Sessler show his basically kind of show his true colors. I want to say pre 2014, the GG fiasco. Around 2017, so I already saw who his true colors were, so it didn't surprise me one bit. But this was somebody that I used to look up to, somebody that I used to love to, because I remember back in the days, like, man, I would freaking love to be able to get paid to grow up. I'd love to get paid to go, review games and stuff. Go up and review games. Work at the Metreon in San Francisco, where what it used to be, but I don't want to get into that kind of discussion.
Yeah,
real quick.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I guess it's like at the end of the day, it's like nowadays, I think that people are getting advertising for their stuff confused, where they're going for optics where it sounds nice, but they're not realizing that on a business level, this has been proven over and over again, is that you're nuking your subscriber base, or like the people your customer base, because you lose the people who support you. And it's been proven that the people who are online, who are cheering you on, aren't going to come and actually give you those views. They're not actually going to go and watch your movie or do this or that. They're just on the sides waving their signs. So it's like every single time somebody comes out and makes some indignant speech, they're just like nuking holes in and not filling them, and it's like they keep thinking that people will come and actually be their quote unquote new audience when that's not existent.
It's a microcosm of that. It's a microcosm of just this, and this thing has been going on since 2016, 2017 of this absolute disposal of fan base.
It has, but I mean, look, at least they recognize that everybody enjoys titillation. Hence, they bring back, or bring in some ladies that people might find attractive, and even the dudes are dressed suggestively. And if you look above Amaranth's right hand, the guy definitely put a whole package of tube socks in his pants to try to make fun of that kind of a bit. But let me get to a couple of these super chats real quick. We got Mr. Tickle Trunk for a Canadian $2 says Amaranth looks like William Dafoe when she smiles. I didn't notice that. What do you think?
He could be her grandpa.
There you go.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a manliness look to her face there. I think it's just bad lighting.
Yeah, exactly the same thing that happened to Hermione Granger, Emma Watson this week. I was like, guys, that's just a bad picture.
Lauren Chan was covering that.
Well, this is the same one that puts the horse head on, right?
Yeah. You've got her. You feature her in one of your breaks. Yeah.
Say horse and you see it. Well, you got to pay for it now because it's just horrible. I hate showing that stuff.
Well, and I think it's always
the horse girl.
Yeah.
That's horse girl.
Yeah. She makes a lot of money on with her only something or another. But anyway, Blue Eyed Mystery in the base for $5 says, I bet Ball Pit stream was suppressed by G4 themselves. Look at the views. Probably. You have Amaranth popping out. No way. With all the coverage, views aren't higher. I agree with you. I don't know how, although I think probably, there's a certain person in our chat right now who probably soaked up some views on his channel. So you can check out Zach's channel. He's got a bunch of those clips up.
But it could also just show that they don't have that many people in their audience anymore due to Frost.
I would argue, and I think other people have as well, and I think Tom can probably speak to this, and because views to sub count, if you have that few views on a channel that big, you're a dead channel, and those are dead subs and or bots, right, Tom? I mean, you guys get on your channel what on a video?
What are you asking me? I was busy. What?
Oh no. Okay. So on Midnight's Edge, right? Your channel with as many subs as you have, which is what, over 350 now?
Fuck, I wish.
Yeah, it's over 300,000 though. Midnight's Edge.
No, we're only 200.
Oh, okay. All right. I thought you guys were over 3. But anyway, you guys still get how many views on a video?
I don't know. Everything's down right now. We normally used to average between like 75 to 100,000, but now depending, we're lucky to get 30 to 50,000.
But you're still roughly double what G4 is pulling in with all of the subs.
Oh, easily, probably.
Which tells me, based on the analytics of it all, that they don't. Those aren't real subs. Those aren't real.
Right. And usually a lot of people will say is that like you can tell like real subs or real viewer counts where if you have like 70, 80, 100, a lot of people watching, but the comments aren't even flowing. The comments aren't even moving fast.
Well,
like barely anybody's commenting. Yeah,
they blocked comments when Frost went on her little rant. They started blocking the people that were subscribed to them. Then they wouldn't let people comment unless they were subscribed to them for 30 days. They destroyed their chat. Right. And anyway, Soul Assassin says what nobody, what nobody would deny at this point. G4 was king 15 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Now G&G is on top. And in fact, I will add to that. They're also on Tabletop. I saw that they launched their new Tabletop channel recently. So I thought that was pretty cool.
I love Tabletop gaming.
Yeah, well, you're going to love that channel, I would imagine. Gaming's for everyone, folks. It's nobody's locked out of it if they actually enjoy it and aren't tring to change it.
Well, if it's G4.
Well, yeah, there you go. But Blue-Eyed Roof Korean the base for another $5 says my politics don't align with Skill Up's. Yes, another great, video game reviewer for the most part.
Yes,
But
fantastic.
Skill Up doesn't push his ideas and views on me. That's right.
No,
He reviews a product and he doesn't lie to sell me something. Absolutely.
exactly,
And I like I said, I often don't agree with him at all, but he does a great job. I mean,
I don't either, but I do enjoy his review style. I do enjoy the way he covers his products and such. And the same definitely can be said of Young Ya. And I don't align with Young Ya on politics and such. And sometimes he'll go unhinged he'll make an unhinged rant about politics and such like that. But I always tune out to stuff like that. You can separate. It's a case where you can separate the art from the artist.
In his
G4's
voice.
case, in G4's case, you really can't.
Yeah. And again, I mean, you still have, and AFK reacted to his voice, and there
that thing is like warm butter.
I know.
Like if you want ASMR and you don't care about video games because you think it's boring, like seriously pull up his videos and he'll put you to sleep, but with like just the warm tenor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got, and again, I mean, that I wish I had that kind of tone, but it is what it is. I'm more like annoying, keep you awake guy. But Bruce Lombardo of Dick's Division points out something I think is fairly evident across the board, and that is G4 is like every other franchise that we've seen in the last 4 years from early on. It's completely a pet cemetery type of thing where we have something we used to love and now it's back, and boy, is it not what we used to love.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
Yeah, I really think Frosk is like the opposite of Viagra. If you got one that you can't get rid of, just watch her rant, and I guarantee you that puppy will drop down and shrivel up and crawl back inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
But don't accidentally confuse it with the Frosk bitten video because that might actually turn you on again.
Oh wow.
Oof.
Yeah, and I can't believe how many great comments. You guys are on fire in the chat. Thank you for all of that. And for those of you who are here, all 100 of you, please do hit the like button. It does help with my engagement and the channel overall.
Can you highlight Roof Korean super chat? Because
I'm getting there. I'm getting there. It takes a minute. There we go. Blue-Eyed Roof Korean, the base for $10 says it all goes back to before the fall of corporate media when Kotaku, IGN, Geo media companies tried to blackmail Ubisoft to being anti former president for Far Cry 5. I would love to explain it in an email to you. Send me an email, my friend.
Okay, so and that's because I want to highlight that because he makes a great point about that because you think about what was the media that Hulk Hogan sued into oblivion, Gawker, and they were running out of and that was signal the downfall, and of course Gawker media tried to come back. Yeah, Gawker tried to come back, but in the G4 state, very little applause. Clownfish TV always covers when you see the sites like BuzzFeed or Kotaku and such like that. It's like digital media, or especially like digital, like the kind of the access media, is definitely on the decline. It's just it's kind of the same thing. It's kind of the same thing we're kind of seeing here, because you can look at G4 as in a way is kind of like digital access media, like those sites like BuzzFeed or Kotaku.
And I'll add a note to that, what you were saying there, Mac, because they got poor old Hulkster. His career kind of took a hit for that WWF. They wiped out all his wrestling matches for a while.
Yep.
Yeah. And I actually got to meet him on his kind of like his comeback tour. He started going out and doing conventions here and there, and you could tell he was humbled. He was just very happy to see some fans come back out again, and slowly but surely he came back and resurrected his career a bit from that.
Yeah.
But it just sucks because sometimes bad things happen to good people, and I think that was one of the cases.
Right, and to add on, and just one thing I want to add on to what Ruth Kieran was saying was that for a lot of time, and that was at the time that during those last 4 years of the Orange Green presidency, Ubisoft was under a lot of games. I would say a lot of games were under heavy fire. Ubisoft was the most notable because Far Cry 5 and Far Cry 6, every media outlet were slamming Far Cry 5 for Ubisoft for not being political, for not taking a political stance. Yeah. And it was the same thing with Far Cry 6, and I think we're still seeing little bits of that, and not in big doses, but in small doses where stuff that's more tied or more in line with corporate access media were getting slammed because they came out refusing to not take a side or not have a political stance.
Yeah, I think you're right. And again, I mean, this is the video segment in question that was the ball pit, the name your price segment. You know, from the ball pit when she came out in the bikini, she changed into this gray outfit. The other female co-host got she feigned jealousy and tried to be as hot as Amaranth in the clip. And like I said, it's all worthwhile, all worth seeing. You have a very good playlist breakdown over on Zax's channel. The VTubers were Vebe, Iron Mouse, Nayaners, and Snuffy. So if you're into that, you had Austin and Neff, basically leading things there. And of course, this is the ball pit moment. So unbelievable. Like you said, and again, all of this ultimately leads to what? It leads to the guy that was the most staunch, defender, basically telling people don't watch our stuff, bailing on the channel, bailing on the network entirely, right? And it being rebranded and everything else. I mean, again, if you don't believe me, this is the dude here, and I'll throw it up real quick again. G4 TV senior vice president Blair Herter tells gamers don't watch this.
Oh, this is BS. It's good to be inclusive, but not to throw it in your face. I mean, look at Culture. He brings a puppet on his show. He doesn't brag about being inclusive and not being a puppet phobe. It's ridiculous.
Look, it's like at the end of the day, these people aren't thinking statistically, in the sense that pretty much half of the nation is one way or the other. So like if you're telling somebody not to watch something because it's like basically the opposite of what you are, then you're literally telling half of the population of the country to go F itself to some degree.
It's that old Patrick Sullivan. It's that old, if everybody remembers Battlefield 5 with Patrick Sullivan basically telling people, especially people who call people uneducated on seeing the trailer with an amputee woman in World War II with a wooden arm and legs, like that, don't like it, don't buy it. It works every time.
Albert just realized that you're being diverse today, Culture.
Oh, yeah. I'm a big supporter of the Cotton Connection. You can ask any of my puppet friends, Floral, Jolly. I'm not really a big fan of that Mike Roch guy.
We don't like Mike Roch?
Nah, not a lot. No.
Why not? No, everybody likes Mike Roch.
Mike Roch like you.
No, I prefer Mike Hawk.
Yeah. Have you seen? Oh, wait. You know what? A lot of people may not have gotten an opportunity last night to meet the new general manager for Tuck and Roll, the new channel brand guy. He's amazing.
Mr. Cool.
Mr. Cool. Yeah. Yeah. Pretty good dude.
Maybe I can swing him by here towards the end of the show.
That'd be incredible. Would love that. Yeah, and look, you mean the quote, "If you don't like my politics, don't buy my books." Yeah, look, that did not end well for anybody. I mean, 2 or 3 years later, the what's her name? Oh, redheaded evil person. She came back out and did an interview saying, it's sad that comics are dying. I'm like, lady, you killed the comics. Why do I always forget her name? She's the most hateful human being.
It's so sad that they can't breathe underwater.
It's a good thing you don't remember. She doesn't deserve to be remembered.
Some think puppets are a gateway drug to furries. I don't think so.
Well, it depends. It depends how kinky you get. Everybody has their fetish.
Wait a minute. Johnny Depp called us Kansas folks names because we didn't see his docudrama a few years back. I have no frame of reference for that, Terry Rose, but I believe you. Everyone loves Gator. That's right, Gator's cool. Love my
right. It's that slime guy that's kind of a dick.
Let's see. Bashi Washi says, I like the non-grapey Elmo there, CC. Oh, yeah. Yeah. He's good. Joshua.
Is he talking about me?
Pseudoconic. That's right. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah. Oh man, I don't know why. Yeah, no, I'm not talking. I wasn't talking about the larger boned lady, Monkey Jeebus. Yeah. Save gingers for sure. Yeah.
I know all about the larger bone.
Well, look, I think we've talked this to death. I mean, obviously G4 is getting what G4 earned. And I think that's, sad for, its legacy, because we know some great people who are part of G4, including Mr. Chris Gore, who you can see on Film Threat, who should be showing up here on a Sunday in the very near future. So keep your dials tuned in. And I'm surprised George isn't here yet. George is supposed to be joining us today. He must be unavailable. But we did get a lot of great things out of early G4, and it's a sad way to go. And Bruce Lombardo is right. We ended up with a Pet Cemetery version of what it used to be. But we're going to move on, folks, because I know you guys want an update on on one of the most riveting cases that was recently in the Chicago court system. I know that you really are inspired to talk about this today. I kind of want to put a bow on it real quick.
Does it deal with a famous French actor?
It does, yeah. One that I think our good friend Mr. Chappelle called out right from the beginning. It's convicted actor Jussie Smollett has been ordered released from jail. If you didn't hear, I'm sure you did. Pending the appeal of conviction and 150-day sentence. Now, there are some legal reasons for why the juice is loose, and one of those is that his appeal period would have taken longer than the sentence that he received. So for now, he is out while they appeal this. So honestly, I really feel like this is just going to be a deferment of the inevitable. But I guess we will see. From
at the end of the day, this is the perfect. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. AFK, go ahead.
It's just like, this is the definition of privilege, but it just really pisses me off. Because, at the end of the day, nobody, off of just, the street who did the same thing as him would ever be given as many opportunities. And it's really upsetting me. I don't know. And also the people who are oh, well, this prove see, obviously he was innocent. It's well, no, this actually doesn't prove that. It just means the technicality allows him to step outside a door. It doesn't mean that all the things that he did are suddenly null and void. And it's just really irritating me.
And it bothers me the most because I don't think people understand the timeline here. This thing took 3 years to get to this point. There's a decent chance this is going to be another 6 months. We could be sitting at 4 years before he's back in jail. And he didn't go to prison. He went to jail because it's less than a year. So he's in the Cook County jail. And of course, now he isn't. But all the way back on January 22nd, 2019, Smollett received a racist, homophobic letter at the studio in Chicago where Empire is filmed. Police later say they believe that Smollett sent the letter to himself.
Of course.
On the 29th, Jussie Smollett tells police he was attacked by two men in downtown Chicago at 2 a.m. If you've seen the body camera footage from the officers, that is very interesting and telling. The actor says the men used racist, homophobic slurs, wrapped a rope around his neck, and poured an unknown substance on him. Later, I think they determined it was bleach. Police say Smollett is black and gay, told detectives that attackers also yelled he was in MAGA country.
America!
In Chicago. An apparent reference to President Donald Trump's Make America Great Again campaign slogan that some Trump critics call racist and discriminatory. Why? Because they having a powerful country is bad. Anyway,
American flag, it's
I hear you. So wait, the next thing was the 30th of January. The Chicago police say they reviewed hundreds of hours of surveillance camera footage, including of Smollett walking downtown, but none shows the attack. Eventually, obviously, found those. Police obtain and release images of two people they want to question, calling them persons of interest. reports of an assault on Smollett drew outrage and support for him on social media from some politicians and celebrities. On the 31st, Smollett's family issues a statement calling the attack a hate crime and disputing claims that he changed his story, which he had already started to do. February 1st, which is a day later, Smollett issues a statement saying he's okay and that he's working with authorities, and he's been 100% factual and consistent on every level. February 2nd, Smollett opens a concert in West Hollywood, California with an emotional speech saying that he had to play the show because he couldn't let his attackers win. 11 days later, on February 13th, Chicago police pick up two brothers at Chicago's O'Hare International Airport after police learn at least one worked on Empire. Police question the men who were returning to Chicago from Nigeria and search their apartment. Chicago police on the 15th, 2 days later, release the brothers without charges after arresting them on suspicion of assault and holding them for nearly 48 hours. A police spokesman says they're no longer suspects. Then on the 16th, that's 3 days later, police say the investigation has shifted after detectives question the brothers and request a follow-up of the interview. On the 17th, that's next day, Chicago reach out to Smollett's attorney saying they still want to interview him again because new information has shifted their investigation. This sounds bad. On the 19th, 2 days later, Chicago's top prosecutor, who still did some very bad things, Cook County State's Attorney Kim Fox recuses herself from the investigation. Yes, because she's involved with the family. Her office says the decision was made out of an abundance of caution to address potential questions of impartiality based upon familiarity with potential witnesses in the case. On the next day, prosecutors charged Smollett for disorderly conduct for filing a false police report about the alleged attack. Very, very soft, right? It's almost as if Kim told everybody what to do, and they did the very softest thing they could do. On the 21st, Chicago police say Smollett surrenders to face felony charge of disorderly conduct, punishable by up to 3 years in prison. Chicago Police Superintendent Eddie Johnson says Smollett staged the attack because he was unhappy with his salary and he wanted publicity. Investigators say they have a $3,500 check that Smollett used to pay the two brothers to help him. February 22nd, Empire producers say Smollett's character to be removed from the final two episodes of the season because they knew things were going bad. 2 weeks later, on March 7th, the Cook County grand jury returns a 16-count indictment charging Smollett with falsely reporting an offense. Now, that's 16 counts, right? On the 26th, which is 2 weeks after that, or a little over 2 weeks after that, Smollett's attorneys say charges alleging he lied to police has been dropped. Why? 28th, 2 days later, a city official says Chicago is seeking $130,000 from Smollett to cover the cost of the investigation that he staged. August 11th, by the way, we're still in 2019. City of Chicago files a lawsuit. The 15th, the Cook County's attorney's office releases thousands of documents in the Smollett case, response to open records requests, including text from Fox calling Smollett a washed-up Sledge was overcharged. April 23rd, the brothers said they helped Smollett stage the attack, and they file a defamation suit against the actor's attorneys. The judge, I'm just going to keep going. So as you can see, this was a very well drawn out thing, going back a long, long way. When he was convicted on December 9th, they were 5 of the 6 counts of disorderly conduct. Each of those could carry a sentence of 3 years. Smollett is scheduled to return to court for sentencing. This is an older article. Of course, we all know he was sentenced to 150 days. Now, he only, regardless of what you think, this person had never committed a crime before that they were charged for that we're aware of. Okay, they were given a 150-day sentence, which compared to what could have been done was not the maximum. Let's say that if the judge was not feeling charitable, it could have been a very, very long time, because it could have been 3 years for each charge times 5. So they could have been those terms could have been served consecutively, or concurrently. That's the word I was looking for. So there we are. So what do you think? We do. First of all, I don't know that we asked this question last week. Did he get the right sentence to begin with? This is open to anybody, even in the chat, to be honest with you.
No, I don't think so. I mean,
No, he didn't. He's getting off
I mean,
very light.
Okay,
for
well,
one, I agree with
Yeah.
Shell on this because and you can agree or disagree with me, Shell, obviously, but I think that he should have been made an example of, because that's the kind of system we live in, right? If you're going to do something like this, and you can sit there and dance around it all day long, you know, he claims, or at least he didn't claim. He claims he didn't do it at all, but the claim here is that he did this for, to try and help his career and further along his career, whatever, without thinking of the possible powder keg that he had just exploded in the middle of one of the most turmoil, in the middle of all that turmoil,
yeah,
that we were having at that time.
Summer of love.
And he just basically, threw gasoline on the fire. Now, the problem with that is you can't prove that, but what a judge can do, though, is here's my thing: is if we're going to have hate crimes, they got to go both ways, right? Like, to me, this is a reverse hate crime, or however you want to look at it. Yeah. He's trying to basically paint all these people in one, category that happen to be Trump supporters as racist. Let's be real. Like, I'm not going to beat around the fucking bush. And a judge should have pointed this out. And that's the system we live in. That's the problem we have right now. I can't believe this, because at least when I grew up, yeah, there was the left and the right, but there was still a right and wrong, it felt like. And even when you had, things happen, the left and the right could seem to at least, this kind of, I just don't think like something like this would have happened 30 years ago. I just don't.
Go ahead.
Go for it, Shell.
Well, I was just going to say his ass is sitting at home right now because his lawyers convinced the powers that be that his freaking candy ass couldn't handle 150 days in Cook County jail.
Well, I heard he wasn't even eating.
What is that?
He was like doing a hunger strike or something. Like, how immature is that?
That's the way SJWs are.
Well, actually, there's a little bit more context to this. If you
Please.
go back and look, back when Kamala, our lovely vice president, was running for president, one of her biggest celebrity supporters was old Juicy Smollett. So you could start connecting the dots from there,
Oh my!
and realize why he's out of jail early.
And this is what I was getting at exactly, Mr. Tickle Trunk. If we're gonna have this whole, like, I don't agree with hate crimes being a thing anyway, because it's such a broad.
Yeah.
South Park, all these shows have done excellent shows on why that kind of a law doesn't work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're going to have it, then it has to go both ways. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, it bugs me because, like you were saying, Thomas, like, there's got to be this level of setting an example, and there's always been that in as far as actual court and stuff goes. Like, the whole thing is you refer to certain cases, so it's like this is really detrimental because of the fact that it's such a unique case that it's just getting more and more and more muddled. And it's like, after this, it's going to be worse for any other cases because they're going to be able to refer to this one as a hot mess for anything. And it's, I don't know, it just like, and you at the same time, it's awful when you get to a point where you have judges who are being second guessed. And it's like the whole thing with them is like, the honorable judge or this, that, and, they have years of experience in being able to make these choices. And heck, this one even had like, I'd swear, like 20 pages of pre-prepared statement about why he, made the choice that he did in his judgment. And I'm like, and people are still have actually managed to get him out of jail. And it's just like, I can't understand at this point how this stuff happens.
Okay, well, let me dive into that real quick. So first of all, because it would take longer for his appeal to be heard than his actual sentence.
No, I get that, but
yeah, that's the primary reason. And Tina Bojan gives us some light that we didn't have, which I love context. It's really important to have, especially, when you're talking about these types of things. So Chicago local news outlets reported the anti-gay grape threats were the main reason he was let out. That's interesting. I that's an interesting side of it I hadn't heard. But keep going. I'm sorry, Tom.
No, just to finish my point was, and I'm in complete agreement with AFK Bard. Like that's the whole point I was making is usually the first case like this, or when you finally have a case like this, is the one that they always go back and look at as the baseline. And I get the appeal process, but I think the judge should have, because look, I'll be honest with you. Anybody who's been to jail knows it's no walk in the fucking park.
Yeah.
Right? That's a clear case. Like 150 days in jail is a long fucking time. But we all knew, all of us sat here and knew there's no way he's sitting 150 days. We were all surprised, that he got out in a week, but we expected it to be 2-3 weeks and then good behavior and they'd let his ass out probably on probation of some type. Yeah. But like, that's the thing is I think it should have been twice the sentence so they could actually make sure his ass sat at least 100 days in jail. Well, like that's the thing is you need to set a precedent here. That's exactly the point that AFK Bards, got off of what I was saying. And that's exactly what I was getting at is in the future, if these things happen, this is the case they're going to refer to. And if they let him off light like this, then everybody's just going to get off light.
Yeah.
Well, Tom, also the fact that a lot of these blue states are letting people out of jail early because of the whole COVID rules that they put in place, and so I saw it firsthand. Unfortunately, old Snow Dub got in a little trouble, and anyway, so there was a situation where they were basically just letting people out the very next day because of COVID protocol, unless it was some kind of very serious offense. So I'm not saying that played into this case, but it is playing into a lot of situations where we're having a spike in the crime rates across the country right now, and a lot of break-ins and stuff like that. So it's just sad to see everything's kind of falling apart.
It just teaches the wrong message. Basically, it's basically like, hey, you can go and you can fake this. You can lie to the police officers. You can pay people to do, to act and orchestrate things. And, then you can, just get off with like however 100 days that is. Like at the end of the day, even if he sat in there, that's nothing. Like just think of all the money and hours and resources that he wasted, and he could have stopped it at any point, but he was too stubborn. And it's just like, I don't know. It bugs me. I'm so sorry. Oh man. I went on a rant. My bad.
I think it bugs a lot of people because I think a lot of people see it, and we've seen it in the chat. I mean, people have been calling it out. They see it as this elite privilege or this rich person privilege or whatever.
No, and Bar's 100% right. And that's the thing is, this is all his doing because honestly, with this case, I would question everything that's coming in. I would be like, I don't believe it. Put him in an isolated cell. If he's refusing to eat, then get a therapist in there. That's his fucking problem.
Yeah, sorry.
No, you're 100% right. Go ahead. Continue.
It's kind of like the idea of like the whole, there's just when you act on impulse. Then there's when you're like, you act with opportunity. Then there's act with premeditation where you walk into a store and you're like, okay, I'm going to get a certain thing. And then there's like extreme premeditation where you like plan things out in max to the extreme. And it's just like, I feel like when you get to that level, you shouldn't be just slapping somebody on their knuckle, because it's just like, how can you get off early, like easy at that level and expect anybody on any of those others to even feel remorseful or feel like, they're going to be punished in any way,
Yeah.
I'd like to see somebody get this deal with a public defender.
Well, but you're not gonna. But look, it like I said. I mean, that story is what it is. It's going to be what it is. But I have another story I want to cover. We have. Oh, sure.
Yeah. No, I haven't. Sorry, I've been in the background, but I'm pretty much with everybody else here. Mm-hmm. My stance is Juicy Smollett, famous French actor. His sentence should be on the equivalent of when someone sets up a swatting attempt.
Oh yeah.
It should go that far. And I say that because the fact that you peddled this on for a year, the fact that you've gotten the entire city of Chicago PD involved, the fact that the way you've made this such a big national media headline scandal, you should get a bigger sentence for that.
Well, and
you made everybody look bad.
Well,
and you including, and I'm gonna say it, and I'm gonna be a hot take, including the black community. you've
Wow.
made the Black community look bad at this. And to anybody defending this, you're just as delusional. You're just peddling lies. You're being lied to.
Well, yeah. Can I just complain about the fact that he had celebrities writing in for him, including Samuel L. Jackson? That, like, extreme privilege to the extreme. Like, and the fact that those celebrities chose to do it and thought it was a good idea.
Well, and those are the same celebrities that are telling you right now to listen to them when it comes to canceling gas pipelines and things like that actually, contribute to lowering the cost of petroleum products. They're constantly at odds with the general public, but they want you to listen to them, even though their takes are possibly, not very strong. But we do. I love this subject and I want to keep going, but we have to step away from it. No, it's great, you guys. This is why I like to do these shows with a brilliant panel. We have massive amounts of diversity on this panel, and I'm very grateful for that. So, but Sporking News Podcast says for $2. Thank you for holding down the dump last night, CC. It was no problem. In fact, I think between Grant and Matt and myself, we did about as good a job as you would have done, Scott. So there you go. But thanks for the $2, my friend. Yeah, we definitely have over 100 watching, so do hit the like. Scott lets everybody know. And Moira's still running for governor, I believe. So there you go. If you're in her neck of the woods, you can vote for her for governor, which would take, you wouldn't be electing an elite. You'd be electing a normal person. Wouldn't it be neat to have a normal person in all these political positions?
Well, yeah, it's definitely not that far off. I mean, the last time I remember seeing something like that happen was when we had YouTuber Carl Benjamin Sargon of Akkad run for running the primaries. So
I really want Maura to win, because then I can brag and say one of my co-hosts of the Tuck and Roll show is a governor now.
No, that'd be cool. I've often thought that when I retire from what I do, that I would do that, but instead I think I'm just going to help other people make independent entertainment. That's my ultimate retirement job. But let's move on. We have something very important.
President Culture doesn't have a ring to it.
It might, but you would get my real name at that point. But no,
Headmaster Culture.
Oh, that sounds good. I like that. But look, this is another story that ran across.
Everybody's going to find out that his name is Max Powers.
That's right.
Right.
My power level 9,000 here in a second. But look, this story ran across everybody's desk. I have an in-depth video that's going to be coming out on Monday. It's taken a little longer to get put together by the editor, Mr. Grant Gregory. But I want to talk about the subject, and so we're going to do it. Here we go. Multiple Disney employees arrested as part of a Polk County prostitution and human trafficking sting.
Yay. It's good that they were caught, but horrible that they were part of Disney. So let's at least celebrate that part, they were caught.
I've heard about this before. I've heard about this all this week, but it's only in pertain to the whole Florida bill. Like using this as basically kind of like a counter argument to people who are still peddling the don't say gay bill. You know what I mean? That's what I'm.
It's not lost on you the fact that this particular sting and its results were released like a few days after the bill was passed by both houses in Florida, right? It has not yet been signed into law by the governor. I fully anticipate that will happen, but you have this happens all the time, right? And this is the premise of the video that I'm doing. I'm doing an in-depth video, guys. Watch it this week, but this happens. It doesn't just happen to Disney. I mean, let's just be fair. No. Of the 108 people that were caught up in this sting, there were like 3 or 4 Disney employees. But theme parks and places like that do attract a lot of people who are predatory towards other people, regardless of age and identity. And they take advantage of them and they do bad things to them. And this particular story, I grabbed the Bounding article on purpose so that we could get through it quickly. But the Polk County Sheriff's Office announced that they arrested 108 people during a 6-day human trafficking campaign titled Operation March Sadness 2. Yes, they've done this once before already, and they've done it way many more times than that, to be honest with you. This particular sheriff is very much on the warpath for this kind of stuff. So among those arrested were multiple employees of the Walt Disney Company and or their subsidiaries. The press release from the Polk County Sheriff's Office detailed the campaign, saw detectives identify people who are there for gratification, who posted online advertisements, as well as the people seeking gratification who were seeking out the gratifiers via online communications with the intent to identify and free any victims who were being forced into said gratification activities, or anyone participating in said gratification stuff. I have to be careful, guys. I can only say those words.
No, I've got to commend you for being able to do that. So good job.
Well, it also states detectives have also identified and investigated adults who engaged in online bad behavior, communications with people they believed were not of legal age, and were arrested for preying on people who would be considered well below their ages, and the age of consent, at least, in those terms. These are all of the mugshots that are associated with this. The one lady here is the actual primary trafficker. And the people that went badly the other way are there. Sheriff Grady Judd, get used to that name. You will hear it a lot surrounding this and in the video that I'm about to release. The arrest of the primary person and the 4 people who prey on younger people that aren't of legal age makes this whole operation worthwhile. So I would agree 100%. The online self-gratification industry enables gratifiers and people who are being utilized for those purposes, to be trafficked, basically. And it breaks it all down, and he does a really good job. This is a press conference that you could watch. It's worthwhile. They talk about the people that were there, talk about one of them being a lifeguard at the Polynesian resort for the mouse, right? And all of these other things. And, as often as I talk positively about the Disney company, I'm usually 5 to 10 times harder on them than I am positive, because the things that they get right are wonderful, but the things that they get wrong are epic, and they do it quite often. Now, did you guys, I'm just curious, did any of you see that story? Do you have thoughts on it? I'm just curious, because again, it's not lost on me that this operation was probably planned already, but it is happening about the same time that the education bill was passed in Florida by both their houses. So any thoughts?
It was going to happen no matter what, because there's no way that they just had this planned just, within the month. So it just happens that it's really bad timing on Disney's behalf, in my opinion. It's just like, oh, we're doing the right thing, which, hey, they are, by the way, because I honestly, that's another tangent. But, but now they have this that people can point at, and that's how the internet works in a nutshell anyways. If somebody says something stupid, someone will go back through their Twitter feed and find something that they can also point at that devalues what they said that was actually really intelligent. And so, this sucks, but like I think it was Makini said, that who's surprised that there were predators around children? That's like saying, we found that there were a couple, predators in these houses surrounding a park area. It's like, oh no, crap. I'm so surprised by that, Yeah. So I just think it's good that they were caught, and it really sucks that Disney has this extra thing to look at.
Well, but again, I want to be fair, and I am across the board. There is a preponderance of folks from Disney over the course of the last 2 decades. Believe me, my video talks about it in depth. Again, you're going to get to see it here on Monday. Lots of stuff you probably didn't know before, but this is this is an important thing. I mean, these people right now, it's allegations, it's supported by evidence. Otherwise, they couldn't make the arrests. So innocent until proven guilty, for sure. 6 does bring up a good point. So, but yeah. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to.
I
Yeah,
think
go
this
ahead.
is a symptom of something even worse. There
Mhm.
seems to be almost like a grooming that's starting to happen here. There's a movie that just came out. I want to call it. I think it was like Red Fox or something. It was a new Pixar movie. Anyway,
Oh,
Oh, Turning Red.
turning
Turning Red.
red.
yeah. They're really kind of. I guess I haven't seen it, but from what I hear, they're pushing a little bit of a narrative of trying to make little girls grow up a little too fast, maybe. And it's that type of thing where, like I said, there's like this is a symptom of something I think that's far more sinister, far more worse, and far more outstretching than just Disney. This isn't. There's pockets of this all over the place, and we need to bring awareness to this. They smuggle young girls over the border all the time, and people never hear about this, and they get put into the sex trafficking. Underground realms that that's taboo and hush hush, but it's out there, folks, and it's good that that people like this are finally getting exposed. But like I said, don't just stare at Disney about this. Like, this is just a symptom of something
Mhm.
far worse.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And look, this is the other problem. The media named this bill the way they did, or they characterized it the way they did, and they put it in every piece of literature that went out about it to completely mislead you as to what it was. And Mr. Tickletrunk, for a Canadian $5, puts it down there. And this is exactly what the bill was. The bill is named Parental Rights in Education. That's what the bill is called. Call the bill what it is. Don't let people who want to spin dictate the narrative. No, I won't, and I don't. I always call it the education bill that recently passed, and this is it: parental rights in education. And the whole point behind the bill, for those of you who have not taken the time to read it, it's not very long. It's easily digestible. It's not a lot of lawyer speak, right? Basically saying, you can't teach this to little ones, kids that are in kindergarten through third grade. If you want to start talking about biological differences, you can start doing that in fourth grade. Up to that point, it's up to the parents. And it makes
Mhm.
the schools, the teachers, and the people that support them liable legally if they do that in any context. Believe me, there will be teachers that will try to push this, that are particularly driven by their narrative ways because of their Marxist indoctrination in higher education, right? That will start to try to do it before that, and they will cost themselves a job and probably money, and they're going to cost the school or school system or administrators money and maybe
Well,
their jobs.
well,
This
call me
is
old
not
fashioned. Oh,
accountability. Yeah, go ahead. I'm
sorry.
sorry.
It's just like it must. From my experience in school, I always thought sex education was stupid, anyways. Because you basically have like the equivalent of the guy at Subway trying to teach you about it. It's like if nobody cares. The teachers are just given a pamphlet or a curriculum of the things that you have to like check off. They're not going to have any actual in-depth education in the first place. I always thought that like parents were like they should have been the ones to teach that bit in the first place. It's like, why do you send your kid to a public school with like Mr. Schmo, the math teacher who's given the job of doing a week of sex education,
Yeah.
Like, so for this in particular, I'm extra against it for the fact that I already thought that they were incapable of actually doing a good job of educating in public schools for the stuff in the first place. But then you're asking uh, them to teach all this extra stuff to children that is like so above the heads of a lot of people that even when you go and talk to somebody in this LGBTQ, etc. community, they're going to have a completely different definition than somebody else in that community. So, like, how do they even expect to have some sort of solid way to teach anybody anything? Like, this is why I'm like, it's just a plain stupid idea. Period. Just if the parents want their kid to know that there's 1,000 different genders, identities, or whatever, they should do that at home. Period. At least that's my opinion on the whole matter. I think it's stupid, and labeling it that way is the most misleading thing in the entire world. Because it's like, dude, if a kid walks up to a teacher and asks what gay means, I mean, there's no like, it's a definition. You can actually say, well, that's that. And if Timmy asks, well, what does that mean? Say, go talk to your parents. That's
Yeah.
not a hard thing to say.
Well, and believe me, that's exactly what the path of what things should happen. But unfortunately, we're going to lose a panel member who's got to get their show up and running. A person of much talent, Makini 90.
Hey guys, sorry I had to sorry to leave it here, but I do have to get going for my show with next guest of our 5 guest streams locally. By the way, this Thor piece is finished, my first attempt at Thor, and I will be sending it out to 32 flavors of Nick Weiser very soon. So stay tuned for that. And right next to me is the piece I have ready for Loki when he'll be starting by, which will start at 1 o'clock. Thank you everybody for being here. Thank you, Culture, for always letting me on here, being part of the panels, everything. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure to have AFK, Tom, everybody here. So I will see you guys over. If you guys definitely looking for something to we're kind of continuing the train here, as Ords would say, start from his show, then a Sunday Culture Review, then move over to Makini Live. So to keep it going here, head out over to Makini Live. We're gonna have a lot of fun with Loki's Mornings of Mischief. Look forward to see you guys there. Thank you as always. Love you guys.
Appreciate
you.
Bye guys. Love y'all.
Thank you.
Tuck and roll.
Tuck and roll. I wish I had that clip, but look, Mr. Tickle Trunk says, look, one of the kids that was the catalyst for this particular bill tried to self-delete twice without the parents being informed, because they were trying to hide the issues with the identification of biology from their parents as well. And there's a lot of these incidents. We've heard about the school district that right now is being held criminally liable because of what happened to their daughter twice in a bathroom. These issues are problems that need to be dealt with.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, if you're relying on the school to also help with that, I mean, that's beyond their level of help too. I mean, like in extreme situations, I would say go to the office or teacher and ask, like, they can point you in the right directions, but you still don't have to be teaching that,
Yes, and one more note on this Culture, which I think is very important, is this comes back to you, the parents, and make sure you talk to your kids and just give them, a good foundation, good roots, and just be honest, because they're just little people like us. They just don't know as much about the world, and try to keep that in mind.
Yeah, and I have and again, I mean, my problem always is with all of this stuff is that I don't want. I don't want teachers teaching this stuff, right? And if you're going to teach any of these things, you're going to do it at an developmentally advanced age that you can teach it in a clinical way, right? You're not going to talk about, any of the alternate stuff that can be done or any of these other things. You are going to teach the basics of the human experience biologically, and that's it. There is no reason to go any farther than that until you're much more advanced. If you want to, have that conversation, it should be with parents. We have to stop protecting the people that prey on other people. We can't afford to do that anymore. We can't afford to, be accepting. For a long time, we were taught this whole tolerance concept. Well, this is the one thing I absolutely will not tolerate. I don't think anybody will, for the most part. And the people that are trying to normalize it are well, they need some self-reflection at the very least, and some other elements as well that I can't say on YouTube. So, but go ahead, Jolly.
Well, I was just gonna say, what happened to the good old days when you went rummaging through your dad's closet to go find his old baseball glove, and whoops, I pulled out a Playboy, and you just happened to flip through the pages, and hey, what is this? And then you go take it to your pops, or your pops catches you in the act or whatever, and you and the old man have a conversation, and I figure it's something similar with women as well.
I encountered that too.
Yeah, and that's really how most of us kids kind of find out and grow up about things. So it really is back at the home, and keep this crap out of school. Except like what you said, Culture, the medical clinical version of it. That's how most of us were taught anyway.
Well, I mean, what was your earliest biology class? Do you guys remember?
I had sex ed in 6th grade where you found out how it worked, basically.
Okay, all right.
Where
Well, I
to-
probably don't
Yeah, I
have
was gonna say
a
junior
normal.
Go ahead, AFK, and then we'll get to show.
My experience probably wasn't like the normal. Like they had like some book back in the day that was called Where Babies Come From, and they made it like for like little kids to read. But I didn't actually see the book first. They actually made an animated video called Where Babies Come From. And it traumatized me for the longest time because the animation style, it was like clearly the 80s and it was awful. And there's just like a scene with a bouncing bed. And it was like a super trippy thing because the camera was like zooming into like the quilt on the bed while it was bouncing. And as a kid, I just did not understand what was going on in there.
Right.
So that was my introduction.
Not the best. Yeah.
No.
I started getting basic biology, I think, in 5th grade. And they started to bring around the concept of, where babies came from and stuff like that. It's speaking about it in a very clinical way. The more formalized version of that was like, Jolly, where I got that in 6th grade. And then by the time you were in 7th grade biology, like, because you started to go into actual classes, you started to get like the breakdown, like, difference between mammals and reptiles and everything else, hot, warm blooded, cold blooded, the difference in how they reproduced. Reproduction was discussed. And then you can move on to human reproduction and all of the things that, people do, but let me tell you, it's all got done in a clinical, informative manner and not in a indoctrination and, do what feels good on drugs, which I'm not covering this. There was something called the sexy summer camp that we're not going to talk about on this show. It was something I wanted to get into over on Sporkin News podcast channel, but let me tell you, we didn't get very far. We had a great panel yesterday. Eventually, this story is going to get covered by some of us, and it's going to blow your mind. But Wookie says it best: identity politics happened, feminism has happened, sanctioned delusion happened. That's what happened, and you're 100% right, my friend. 100% right. Basic science has been abandoned, and that's the other big problem. We've been told to accept things without empirical evidence now, and that's an issue. But wow, we are running out of time rapidly. Is there anything we want to wrap this up with, folks? Any concepts we want to dabble in before we have to kill the show?
No, that's a great point. Sexual education, wrap it up, folks. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's right. Wrap your dick if you don't want to get sick, kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and a lot of people in the chat. I mean, I had a construction teacher who would tell all the guys not to waste their lives by doing stupid things and having kids young. Well, there you go. Yep, thank you for that, Mr. Ticket Drunk. Saw turtles in the zoo. Yeah, a lot of people, when you go to the zoo, you discover some things.
I like turtles.
That inspires.
Yeah. Or maybe your dog got loose and then you found your dog connected to another dog.
Actually, turtles are adorable when they have sex.
6, don't look that up. 6, don't. You're not
Well,
going to like it.
The zoo is actually the one place that us turtles can have sex without people like looking at us like we're weird. So
yeah, look, it is what it is, and I know that we touched on some sensitive subjects the last hour. I appreciate you all sticking with us. We were well over 100 for quite some time, and I appreciate all of your support. You have no idea. The channel has been getting hammered sub-wise, so it's been a very hard growth the last few weeks. So if you're not subscribed, or if you thought you were subscribed, double check, because myself, I was unsubscribed from Mark with a C. I've been unsubscribed from Jane Theory. I was unsubscribed from Lorena Creole, who I'm on a show with twice or 3 times a week. So it's been happening. So please.
I've heard it even in the last couple of days. They've been doing a huge purge. So make sure that even after you check today, like keep checking for like the next week, because YouTube does this once in a while, and you can lose a lot of subs.
Yeah. 2 real quick super chats I didn't get to. Blue Eyed Roof Korean, the base for $2 said, They raffle who got to clip the lapel mic to her. Oh yeah, that would be Amaranth. Yes, absolutely. Blue Eyed Rift in the base with a little humor at the end of the stream. Thank you for that. Mr. Trickle Trunk for Canadian $5 says only 40%, approximately 40% of the population are left or right wing. Even in the 20% that consider themselves left, a lot have right wing friends and family. Absolutely. And that's why you have to be very careful when you say that, defining things on a left or right basis. You just kind of want to say, you just say extreme leftists,
What?
you can have liberal tendencies and not be, not buy into these ideologies. So we need to be careful in defining each other. That's all that we need to do. Yes,
I have a very important question. It maybe kind of educational. So when turtles have sex, when they orgasm, do they scream out cowabunga?
I don't know. That would be Shellback's purview, my friend.
Depends on where they're from.
Oh.
Yeah, some of us do, some of us don't.
Some scream turtle power, some scream go ninja go.
Yep.
Totally tubular, dude.
Yeah, bitchin'.
Nice.
Yeah, you guys are the best. And Six does point out that I do have a gilded, all are welcome. As long as you're 16 or older. I'm going to raise that age limit here in the near future to 18. But right now, just go in there, have fun, be adults. Don't be bad. Don't do bad things. Don't post, prawn. So, but yeah.
You obviously been hanging around me very much.
Oh yeah, you guys. Like I said, I'm thankful to everybody on this panel. I'm going to let them do their own outros. I'm going to start with the man, the myth, the turtle lover to the extreme. Tom Connors of Midnight's Edge, Midnight's Edge After Dark, Midnight's Edge Archives, Midnight's Edge Espanol, Mead Radio, Midnight's Edge with Pauly Shore, Midnight's Edge, and the Temple of Doom.
Do I even need to plug anything? I mean,
I don't know.
You pretty much plugged it all already.
Plug something.
Hey-o.
Oh, all right. Well, Tom usually doesn't plug himself, but check out Tom. Check out Mead. Mead is awesome. Midnight's Edge After Dark is a lot of fun, and I hope I can make it over there this week.
And to answer D-Bud's question, no, I'm still working on that. And
oh, wow.
Yeah, we were hoping to have it up soon. Looks like maybe tomorrow, but I'm not so sure about that because we have all the shows tomorrow, but we'll see. We're also working on another video too. So we're always working on stuff. I need to find some editors, but yeah.
I tried to point you at some. I have some good ones.
I'm working on it.
All right. Do check out all these other great human beings. Like I said, of course, I'm going to, whoa, Mr. Cool is here. Muted, Mr. Cool. Mr. Cool is muted. Wow. The new GM for Snowdub.
I apologize. Thank you for having the puppets on tonight. Super good looking hair, dude.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate I appreciate you allowed your talent to show up. It was incredible. I appreciate you.
Oh, yes, no problem. Actually, we are trying to get this channel up to 1,500 subs. So, if you don't mind, a little subscription to Snowdub Music and Entertainment would be very much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cool. Yeah, if you appreciate and love you some puppets, check out Snowdub. Music and entertainment. The channel is well worth your time. Great shows. Cotton Connection is a real thing. And man, you got to love the fluffy stuff. That's all I say about that.
Super cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, we have our very own Turtle, the man who, he rocks the hard shell and now he's well armed. It's Shellback to TJC.
Yeah. And speaking of which, that subject may very well come up on a future episode of what I like to call the Yelling at Park Cars warm up, where we also talk about current events, just like the show that it's kind of named after. We just do it for about an hour and a half until Comics Division kicks the show off on his channel, and it's I did it because I noticed there a lot of injuries happening during his streams, and so I wanted to give people the opportunity to warm up, so they don't
Have some
you know,
mental stretching, right, my friend?
yeah, so they don't, they don't pull a hammy or something when they go to watch comics' show. So, but yes, things like my recent exercising of my Second Amendment. Just because there's people in this country that tell me that I don't need to do that. But at the same time, they'll turn right around and say that people in a country starting with the letter U need to be, armed to the teeth. Even the kids. So, yeah.
Well, I like you said, I admired your sharing of your newly acquired purchase on your social media, and I hope that you are a responsible and a well practiced practitioner of the Second Amendment. And with that, I have one last person to say goodbye to, AFK Bard. AFK.
Hey, I am still not doing anything, but gotta say, we've had some really awesome people in chat today and also the panelists. So just thank you everybody who showed up. Make sure you come back next week and throughout the week, Culture does a whole bunch of videos. You should check them out too.
Thank you very much. I do appreciate that. And look, I had a lot of fun. We covered some controversial things. We got to meet Mr. Cool here on the show. Very cool.
Yes, very cool.
Yeah.
Everybody in the chat has been super cool.
Yeah, and we have some very talented puppet builders in our fellowship and other physical things as well, other practical effects builders. So, like I said, as time goes, you're going to start to see more independent stuff out of all of these amazing creators, and hopefully we can all support them. Thanks very much, everybody. I'm going to end the show the same way I always do. Be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, wash your hands, of course, because it's good hygiene. And until next time, bye.
Puppet Lives Matter.
All right, ToxicManFlu says, Gary has an awesome story of hope and success. I never would have made it through the last 2 years without Gary, Comics Division, Culture Casino, and many others in the Fellowship. Thank you all. Right on.
I like how they're using the word fellowship. I tell people to stop using the word community.
The Fellowship.
Stop. That commie language.
Yeah.
The Fellowship of the Ring.
Yes.